Pro models. They haven't really changed there whatsoever, so exactly the same type there. But where there is a difference is the screen size. Where with the iPhone 15 Pro Max we had a 6.7-inch display, we now have just under a 6.9-inch display now on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So yeah, definitely a larger display here. What is really cool to see here, that Apple have actually made the bezels even thinner, and you can see this even in this picture here, comparing them, that the bezels around the border around the edge are even thinner here. And obviously the phone is slightly bigger for Apple to do this, what's really amazing. But what does that mean in screen resolution? Well, the screen ratios are exactly the same on both of these phones. They're 19 by 5 by 9, but the resolution of the iPhone 16 Pro Max is 2868 by 1320, whereas the iPhone 15 Pro Max, that is 2796 by 1290 there. And what that means though for pixel clarity or pixels per inch, they are both 460 pixels per inch. So you're going to get exactly the same amounts of clarity on both of these phones. They're going to be as clear as each other there. No differences. And like I said before, both of these phones for the display refresh rate, they both actually house the Pro Motion. So this is the 120 Hz Pro Motion display. Refresh rate goes right down to 1 Hz and go all the way back up to 120 Hz there. So that's really good to see that both of these phones have got this again. Then for the actual screen brightness, both of them are identical. One thing we were hoping for was the iPhone 16 Pro Max to actually have a slightly brighter display this time around, but it doesn't look like it's going to be the case. They're exactly the same. They both have up to 2000 nits of brightness in XDR sort of brightness or sort of content that you're showing on your phone there. But then moving over to the processor and the CPU, what are the differences that we've got here? Well, we have the A18 Pro and the A17 Pro. So the iPhone 15 Pro Max has the older A17 Pro with the 6-core CPU, 6-core GPU, and the 16-core neural engine. Whereas the iPhone 16 Pro Max has the exact same setup. But one of the big differences is, for example, is Apple even said that the 6-core CPU is about 15% more faster, yet it's 20% more efficient than the core CPUs that are inside the iPhone 15 Pro Max's A17 Pro there. So you're getting more power by 15%, but it uses 20% less power to do that. What's really cool to see there. But overall, we are getting benefits in the GPU, ray tracing and things like this, and also the neural engine too, for all of those Apple Intelligence goodies that we get. For RAM amounts, they're exactly the same on both of these phones this time round. So we're actually getting 8 GB of RAM on both of the iPhones, no differences whatsoever. Then for the actual storage amounts, a bit of a disappointment here. We're expecting to see some better storage amounts for the iPhone 16 Pro Max, even a 2 TB option. It didn't come about again, sadly. So all those rumors and leaks out there from other leakers like Mark Gurman and a few others who may have said this, it has not come true, unfortunately. We are still stuck with 256 GB all the way up to 1 TB for both of the models. But then moving on to the operating system, both of these phones can run iOS 18. iOS 18 is coming out very soon for the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the iPhone 16 Pro Max, it will come straight out of the box available for you straight away with that. The Apple Intelligence goodies are going to be very similar, but what I would say with the iPhone 16 Pro Max, you may get an extra year of, say, operating system updates or security patches there compared to the iPhone 15 Pro Max compared to last year, but that's probably the only big difference there. But then moving over to the actual battery life, now this one is a biggie. Apple actually boasted that there's better battery life in a Pro Max than you've ever seen out there, and that is true. As you can see here, the iPhone 16 Pro Max can get up to a 33-hour battery life of video playback what's actually on the phone. This is not streaming, this is actually sitting on the actual storage on your iPhone, playing that. That's how they benchmark this. Don't know what brightness, but the brightness would have been the same, the sound would have been the same on both the models. But as you can see here, you are getting around about a 12 to 15%, I can't do the exact maths, better battery life just on video playback straight away over the 15 Pro Max there. So whenever you've got to that point where you say you got to 0% battery on your iPhone 15 Pro Max, if you switch to an iPhone 16 Pro Max, you would be probably sitting on 15% instead. That's the kind of sort of differences there, 12 or 15%, that's what you're getting. But for the actual physical battery inside of it, for the battery life, there are some differences here too. We actually got a slightly bigger battery now. We've got a 4,676 milliamp battery in the iPhone 16 Pro Max compared to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which has the 441 milliamp battery, but still not a 5,000 milliamp battery just of yet. For wired and wireless charging, there are some upgrades here too, and Apple didn't really talk too much into this. What you can actually do now is you can actually do a 30-watt charging with USB-C on the iPhone 16 Pro Max, whereas the iPhone 15 Pro Max would only go up to 27 watts, so that's only 3 watts more. But that new MagSafe charger, and only that new MagSafe charger, the new ones that Apple brought out, if you plug in the USB-C end into 30 watts adapter or more, it will charge up via MagSafe at 25 watts via MagSafe using their new MagSafe charger. The new, magnetic thing clicks on the back and it has to be plugged in at the other end to 30 watts or more to give you 25 watts of wireless charging. If you plug it into 25 watts, it will not give you that. It has to be a 30 watts charger or more. Whereas the iPhone 15 Pro Max still has the wireless 15 watts MagSafe, was the same what we've ever had since, say, the iPhone 12 Pro series out there. But then moving over to weight, the iPhone 16 Pro Max obviously is a little bit bigger and it weighs slightly more. It literally weighs 6 grams more. And to put that into perspective for you guys, that's not even the weight of, say, a film screen protector for your iPhone 16 Pro Max or for the iPhone 15 Pro Max that matter. It's lighter than that. We're talking nothing in weight. You're really not going to feel the difference here. You feel the size difference probably more, but not the weight. And that is quite impressive from Apple to do that. But then moving on to the water resistance, they're both IP68 this time round. Nothing new yet there. So this means they can be dropped into clear water up to around about sort of 6 meters and up to 30 minutes before any kind of damage actually happens to it. But that is clear water, do remember that. But then moving over to the ports then, both of these phones only have one port at the bottom of them, and they are USB-C for charging or USB-free for charging. So this could go up to 10 gigabits per second. No speed changes here, nothing faster here in transferring data to a hard drive or off your phone there. So just be aware of that. USB-C chargers. Then for the actual speakers, both of them have 2x stereo speakers on both these phones. But Apple have actually said to the iPhone 16 Pro Max, there's been some changes with audio, with the sound for this, so there's even more crisper sound on the iPhone 16 Pro Max using AI with that. So yeah, just be aware of that. And talk about artificial intelligence, or Apple intelligence, I should say. Both of these phones have Apple Intelligence and they're exactly the same sort of features. The only other difference is obviously that new capture button, what you have with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And also you've got some new abilities with audio, with Apple Intelligence, but nothing you can sort of pull up on the screen, as it were, but it's actually physically helping your day-to-day life. It's more to do with videos there, but nothing really substantial and exclusive for the iPhone 16 Pro Max there. They're basically exactly the same of everything we saw at WWDC earlier this year. For Bluetooth technology, they're exactly the same. They both have Bluetooth 5.3 inside of them. And Wi-Fi, though, this year, we did get a boost at last. The iPhone 16 Pro Max, at last, can connect to Wi-Fi 7 routers to get that extra speed boost there, whereas the iPhone 15 Pro Max has Wi-Fi 6E. Moving on then to cameras, and this is a big one for a lot of people. Well, actually looking at the specs here on the back, it doesn't look that much, but like I said, you do have that new capture button on the iPhone 16 models all across the range, and that's going to be really, really helpful there to have that. But for the actual camera lenses, physically here, they're all brand new sensors in the iPhone 16 Pro Max compared to the 15 Pro Max. And with that though, they both have a 48 megapixel wide sensor, but the iPhone 16 Pro Max this time has a 48 megapixel ultra wide compared to the iPhone 15 Pro Max with its 12 megapixel. We've again got the 12 megapixel telephoto, one will connect to a 5-time teleprism zoom, or how that works there, and then digital zoom probably go even further. Both of them can record at 4K video, But with the iPhone 16 Pro Max, we do have that new cinematic 4K video recording at 120 frames per second, what's pretty impressive there. And both the cameras, again, do have a LiDAR sensor. But then moving on to the front of the phone, there's no differences here again. We've still got a 12 megapixel camera on the front in the dynamic island at 4K, so no changes here whatsoever on both of these cameras. But then moving over to the price, the great news is, again, Apple have kept the price exactly the same in US dollars. Like I said, it depends where you are in the world to do with taxes and how much your sort of currency compared to the US dollar, how good that is. It depends on the currency and depends on the actual cost in your country. But if you were buying it in the US right now, the iPhone 16 Pro Max hasn't changed at all for its sort of 256 gigabyte, its second sort of tier storage, what it had when it came out with the XS Max back there, and this is now the same one here for the 256 gigabytes, is exactly the same price as the iPhone 15 Pro Max, so no changes there, what's good to hear. For colors though, we did have one new color swap out this year, and that is to do with the titanium blue to the titanium desert, or desert titanium as Apple like to call it. But I would say this, the titanium black, white and natural color also do have a bit more of a new look this time, a bit more polished, a bit more this time. So yeah, they definitely do look different to last year's colors. So yeah, but there are 4 options available for you. But with that then, what